به نام خدا، به نام زن، زندگی، آزادی. In the name of God, in the name of woman, life, freedom. This is going to be another short one. I'm just going to give a basic summary of things that have been going on for the last 2 days. The Revolutionary Tehran court is claiming that it's going to be prosecuting detainees who have been arrested since the 16th of December. The figures of the people arrested since that time vary. Some of these figures range from between 1,000 to 2,000. Others are between 14,000. But the court, the IR court, is claiming that it will be prosecuting and handing down indictments to over 1,000 individuals. During this time on October 30th, 2 days ago, students were chanting at Qazvin International University, who chanted from Zahedan to Shiraz, I sacrificed my life for Iran, as Zahedan to Shiraz, Janam Fadai Iran. And at Mazandaran University, crowds chanted, if we do not stand together, we are killed by one. Some Iranian university students dismantled the segregation walls in the canteens that were placed in order to separate the men from the women. According to The Guardian, restrictions on media access has made it hard to judge the breadth of the protests, but they appeared larger and more defined than ever. Supporters of the regime are also insisting that the protests are actually constituting a small minority, but acknowledge they have continued far longer than expected. Now, the reason for this, as I have explained in previous podcasts, is that people understand that if you concentrate a population in one particular place, it is much easier for the regime to pick people off. So, in essence, the Iranian people are playing a game of hybrid warfare on the streets against the regime. And this is why the protests are so widespread and have gone beyond the 180 cities threshold. In the villages and the rural parts of Iran, you're also seeing quite an interesting eruption of protests. Protests have also now begun in the province of Lorestan. So these things have spread. And it is not going to be that easy for the regime to put this all down, even though they're claiming, or some accounts are claiming, that upwards of 14,000 people have been arrested. Amongst the individuals arrested is the Tehran rapper Tumaj Salehi. He has a tune that made quite a lot of waves about a year ago. It's called Surakh Mush, the mouse hole, which is a not so subtle criticism of both the reformists, but also one could read in the lines of his rapping poetry a direct criticism at NIAC, the National Iranian American Council, which all Iranians, or the majority of Iranians, now acknowledge to be a mouthpiece of the regime itself. Yesterday and today, protests have continued throughout the various cities, including in Tehran and Saranjad. So that means that people are actually defying pretty much the threat that was made by the head of the Revolutionary Guard Corps a couple of days ago, that this would be the end of the protest. The protests have continued. Overseas, the band Coldplay performed with Golshifte Farahani, Shervin Hajipour's Baraye, which has become basically the anthem of these current protests. And also, governments are continuing to consider sanctions on various Iranian institutions, such as the Revolutionary Guard Corps. And amongst those are Canada. There was a human chain of Iranians on Sunday, and Kevin Trudeau participated in this. And at the gathering, he announced that the Canadian government would be going after basically the quote-unquote the Aghazadehs, or these individuals associated with the IRGC that have found quite a haven in Canada. In other news, a series of leaks, of hacks, of a very high-ranking member of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, Mr. Rostam Qasemi, have come out by various hack groups, showing him and a girlfriend, and it's not clear whether this woman is his wife or girlfriend or whatnot, in Malaysia, a few years ago, and the woman is clearly not wearing a hijab, dressed in a basic shirt without hijab, and they're kind of cavorting together somewhere in Malaysia. And what's quite distinctive is that there is a muhajiba woman, a veiled woman, in one of these pictures, standing next to this woman, this girlfriend of the IRGC member Rostam Qasemi. This picture is very noteworthy for the fact that it really showcases the hypocrisy of the high-ranking elites of the Islamic Republic. That they all, basically practice the double standards. One in Iran, where they pretend to be pious, more pious than the Pope, and the one where when they're overseas and they basically blend in and do in Rome what Romans do. And this has also been the case amongst a lot of these Aghazadehs, these princelings, these offsprings, or what I call the Walad al-Zanas, these illegitimate offsprings of the elite of the regime who are spread out throughout the world and have basically plundered the wealth of Iran and are living the high hog all throughout the world, especially in Europe, North America, and here in Australia. I've run into a number of these people over the years, and I can tell you that these people do not believe a single one of the talking points and rhetorics that the Islamic Republic has mentally defecated since 1943. But they are part of an elite. Their parents are part of an elite system. And so these people do what they like. And like I mentioned, these people have basically plundered the wealth of Iran and have become wealthy in ways that are not apparent how these people have obtained their wealth. Anyway, I will leave it here for today. This is the fifth of these Omnibus podcasts. Until victory. Ta piruzi.